My name is Nikt Wong. I've been photographing for about 16 years. Um, yeah, my journey has been quite varied, starting with social issues and moving on to travel kind of work, then moving on to more corporate and a little bit of commercial work. So I've been over the years lah. So I've been quite happy to be asked to contribute to documenting and reviving the historical sites of Melaka, and this was a bit of my work that I did for over 5 days. Um, I'd like to just give you a little bit of a context. These 5 days, I started shooting in 2 sessions in a day. This is because I'm going for the light. So usually it's like starting very early in the morning at about 7 a.m., shooting till about 11, and then a break in between. So that means the whole midday I'm not doing anything, and start back again at about 4 o'clock. And maybe 4 o'clock towards, it can go towards quite nighttime also, because you'll see some night pictures. So that's how I shot this. So the sites that I've been shooting has been there was a list given to me by Bert, and then he was showing me what areas I should be focusing on. So this is what I started at. This is about 5 p.m. onwards. Again, lucky the light was very good. You could see a lot of contrast and some shadows, which makes the pictures a little bit more interesting. So if you were just to rock up at any other time, it may not have these contrasts and these kind of shadows, and then it will look quite flat. So the other thing about this picture is I decided, I took a few. So this is one of the few that I submitted. I pulled back all the way because then I wanted to give context, because part of the reason of how I'm photographing these pictures were to show the encroachment of development that is happening in Tengkera. So if I were just to zoom in and focus on the Cheong society itself, then okay, it may be a nice picture, but then it's lost a little bit of meaning. So then I pull out. So when you pull out, you realize that over the years, what has happened? And what has happened is there's a Chuchi crater thing that it's in the front, and you got that St. John sign, and there's inside it's become a bit of like a parking lot. So that was the context of which I shot this picture. I'll just move on. There's another different scene of shooting this picture was to include a little bit more foreground, and of course something that is live, which is the motorbike. So then, once you pull out, then you see the context of where this mansion is placed. Okay, the other thing is, this is the Oriental Theatre. It may not be so clear up there, but this day was a fantastic light. The sun was coming right through. You had a really good yellow color coming out, although this is a little bit too saturated. But without this kind of light, I don't think, see on my screen, the shadows here are darker. So you can actually read the words. But here you can't really see it. So without this kind of light, this will all be lost. You can see it here, right? The Oriental Theatre. So I was quite lucky that this kind of light came through, and be able to pick up that together with a little bit of shadows, then you can see what's written. And once again, I pulled out, and you're able to see the context of where this is in terms of the Tengkera Street. So happened, this is the after work traffic, I think. So this is another angle, and then Just moments later, no more traffic, all empty. Sacred Heart Church, right? Chapel, yeah. Okay, so this one, as you know, in the front is boarded up. So the thing was open, so I just crept in. Also, this is in the evening. The sun was coming down already. Just let me check what time. 6:09. Okay. So at 6:09, you can still get a very good light. And going inside, I think they're already doing some work, but it's been abandoned again. So this kind of light coming through is only achieved if you go during that time. This is the other way around, from the inside shooting out. So once again, this building, which is just across the road, right, is highlighted by the fact that there's this kind of light going on. Without this kind of light, if you go in the morning after, in the 10 something or what, it'll all be very flat. So looking for the light is a very important element in trying to get great pictures. So of course I shot across the road once again to give context. And this is like if you go right in. So once again, the light and the shadows make it a little bit more interesting. If you go in any other time, maybe it's all shadow. And with the all shadow, then your camera just makes everything bright. So if that's the case, then it'll be not so interesting. This then it brings out a lot of character of the whole place. The projector actually makes it a little bit much more yellow, but on my screen is not this yellow. Okay. So once again, pulling out, then you can see this, which gives you another feel of what's happening on the road. Not just focusing on the structure itself, gives you a feeling of what's happening on the road and across. This is also evening shot. Very nice sun coming through. Minaret is not lit, but the grass in front here is lit. So this also gives it that kind of a feel. It brings the drama out of taking the picture. So I climbed up the minaret, and this badminton hall is quite old, right? But so he was telling me about this badminton hall, and if I didn't know about it, I wouldn't take a picture of that, but because it looks so modern, right? So a little bit of a bird's eye view of Tengkera. And also what is important for me is including a bird in the sky, because you can take it anytime, it's just the timing. You can go there, you can click, but if you just wait for a little while, small little things, like a little bird like this, just adds more character to the picture. I mean, even better still is if you wait for more interesting things happening on the road. But of course, I'm not going for the ultimate picture, so just click first. Tengkera Mosque. Also, again, this was important for me, just to give it that little edge. Then the light here, of course, you have to get the right timing in the day. If not, that's not going to happen, and it's going to look flat. So just another angle, and then to showcase there's some tombs, makams around it. And just still another angle. And then venturing into the mosque. I think a lot of people may feel a bit reserved or not too sure if you could actually shoot inside the mosque, but it's okay so long as you're wearing long pants, right, for guys. And actually, if you go in, the people may be very welcoming also. So do not create any preconceived ideas, especially if you're shooting anything. Just go and hope for the best, and the best usually happens. So as I was inside here, one of the guys, not this guy, not this guy, somebody else came up and said, "Oh yeah, please come in, and come and shoot this," and showing me a couple of things. So he made me feel welcome. Sometimes, to get more detail, you want to go close into an object, and this is what I did with the pillar here. So the focus actually is not on any of these. If you can look closely, it's a little bit blurred out. So in terms of taking a picture, I make the depth of field a bit more shallow. So when you focus on what's in front of you, everything else becomes a little bit more blur, and that creates leads your eye into the focus part and creates a more interesting picture rather than everything being sharp. Because if you take a picture with your handphone, it's likely that it'll have a very high aperture and it will take everything as sharp as possible. So then you won't get this kind of effect. So that's why shooting in manual helps. So this one is just to go close here because there's a lot of detail here that I found interesting. And also a human element here makes it, because if it was an empty space, then maybe it's not so interesting. So I'm always looking for some human element. And so happened he was practicing. It makes for me, it makes the picture become more alive. So then this is the Makam Sultan Hussein, right? After the mosque and all, this is a bit of a letdown, after all, he's quite a character, but then his makam is like tucked away in the side there, and then it's next to some houses. So you can see here the light is very flat, so it's not interesting. I think I've got some more pictures. I'm also looking at the sky. Over here, it looks a little bit washed out, but if the sky with the clouds are much better, then it can enhance the picture. But obviously, it didn't really turn out very contrasty here. So I moved the angle a little bit. Still not really much. Came around this side because I saw some interesting things at the side of it. So once again, to show context, because we want to know what's happening to these historical places, what's surrounding it. So it's not only taking the picture of the structure. So then you got maybe some fighting cocks there, and it makes put some life to what's surrounding the makam. I forgot the name of these things that Saida was asking you to capture. She was saying that she was asking me to capture these things right at the top. So so this picture is not really of the minaret. It is to try and capture this in context. See, that's why I went here, but obviously it's covered there. So here, creating layers to make the mosque more interesting. So it's behind the fencing, and these are very interesting and nice patterns that help enhance the whole picture. So this is much later. I was still there, maybe 7:30 already. So people had come for the prayers, and to show people using the mosque and to show the elements of the fencing, for me, makes a better picture. So venturing into Kampong 1, right? This is that small little surau there. Nighttime shot. I know that I think I've got some daytime shots too. But you will see the difference between the character of the place and during the night and during the day. So if you are tasked to capture something, you really have to try it out at different times of the day. If not, the character of the place will not come up. If you were just to rock up in the day and just shoot it, it'll be very ugly actually. So another angle of the mosque. Making use of this light to as as a dramatic effect. So another angle of this. So this one gives us a little bit more context as to what is the development around it. So it feels like it's an old kampong where things are very close together, but you've got some high-rise buildings in the background that already shows the effect of the encroachment of development. So that was my idea of uh, including that building in the front. So these are more houses that have been, some not lived in anymore, um, but you can see the contrast between the old and the new, and that was the whole idea behind doing a shot like this. So actually, if it was a little bit earlier and it's not so late, then this blue will be a little bit better coming through. But you really need this blue color because if you take it any later, the sky would be black. And if it's black, you won't get a feel of depth in the picture and it won't be so nice. It'll be much flatter picture. So it's not to say you can go like 10 p.m. and then get the shot, because then it's not going to give you that. So same idea here, where you got the modern buildings behind and the old structures that are, not in such a good form anymore. And so this is for me, this is a iconic kind of picture that gives you an idea of the state of the place. It's kind of left. It's neither here nor there, and then there's a development coming through, but it's not really come through yet, because there's a big space right between the tall structures and here. I'm not sure, is it reclaimed land? So once again, is this the Makam Harimau? Okay. So once again, this picture it will always look nicer during the night. The character will come out. Because if you take it during the day, I think I may have some samples. You will not get this kind of color, and you will not get this kind of contrast between the inside and the outside. This is the other mosque further up. And then just adding a little bit of character with the motorbikes moving. This is also that area coming out to the main road. I find that there's one house they are using to make these biscuits. Actually, they only come there at night. Because I passed there during the day, it's all closed. And then going in, I didn't spend a lot of time, but just to capture a little bit of what's going on. And he was doing the deep frying, and then so then as I come out to the road, this is back to Tengkera. And then moving along at night on Tengkera Street, you've got these hawkers. The whole idea, once again, is to capture the life of Tengkera and what's happening right now. So I think now it is about 9 p.m. already. It's a little bit late, but this shop is Chinese medicine shop is still open. And for me, someone that is open the shop and they're still relaxed behind, it is gives it a lot of character as to the life that is happening. Obviously, she hasn't seen me yet, because if she sees me, then the whole thing changes already. So sometimes shots like this, you want to. I'm shooting in manual, so you got to get everything ready, all the settings, because you already know, okay, there's something there. And then when you go in there, then you got to quickly get the shot, because once she sees me, then the whole thing changes and you can't get this kind of relaxed feel anymore. So this lady has seen me already. Her daughter is actually hiding underneath the table. because they saw me coming with the camera. So, you know, with the camera, it's just like in any scientific experiment, the, the, uh, the consciousness of the experimenter affects the experiment. So similarly here, anyone sees you coming, you will affect the whole scene. It's either you do it in a quick way, or you be there until they don't really feel that you're there. And then things will kind of like resume as normal, and then you can click it. So same place, this now become very famous, right? This putu piring. So to make it more interesting, you know, I try and frame this guy inside here. So it's not just a straightforward picture. You know, I'm waiting because he's moving around also, and I have to wait until he's right in there, just to give it more layering, because this is a foreground picture. I don't like taking pictures that are just straightforward. So this is just to add a little bit of technical energy into it. So now we come back to this. This is the next day. Now it's the early morning. The first picture was evening time. So now you can almost remember from the first picture is very different. So this is maybe 7 a.m. in the morning. The night lights are still there. So the gate is locked. So I had to climb over the gate and walk inside here. So I know, actually, if you try and photograph this during the day, there'll be a car parked here. You know, there'll be a car coming there. So you're not going to get a clear picture of this. So it was good. In the morning, there's nobody there. There was very lucky that this light is still on. So it's thrown some very interesting light into it, and the morning sky is a very nice combination. So you can get a much better picture of this. Just another angle. See here. And then pulling out. So as you can see, it's chained. So sometimes to do photography, you got to, you know, break some rules and just climb in. Actually, I've been caught by the police and in many countries, like in Iran, in Azerbaijan, you know, when I'm shooting in the streets and they're not that many tourists, so they're not used to people like, you know, going here, going there. So they'll come and stop you, take me to the police station, check my bags. And I was shooting in an underground train stations in Iran. At that time, you know, I didn't know about all these cameras, right? So I'm shooting, going here, going there, spending time in the, and then as soon as I emerged out, the police were waiting for me, questioning me and all this kind of, even in Sri Lanka, photographing the Parliament House, you know, suddenly a four-wheel drive comes and picks me up and throws me into the four-wheel drive, and I have to go to the police station, and they wanted the picture, but, you know, in the car, you know, I take out the card and I slip in another card, because I know already they're going to ask for the picture. So then when I show them the camera and say, oh look, this I didn't do anything, then I can still save my picture. So all these kind of things. But of course, shooting in Melaka is much easier. It's not. This is the abandoned Tengkera market. You know, I've been there a couple of times in the morning. Nothing is going on. A lot of them have moved to another market, right? So I got talking to this chicken seller. He's been there for 17 years or something. It passed down from his father. But they seem to be quite happy, these guys, to be there with a small clientele. So once again, I still shot it because it gives you a feel of what's happened to the market, right? It's become like this. Like, look at this lady, like hardly anything, but she is still going on with cutting up the gills of the fish. These guys are just very relaxed. It's not a normal market, right? Next door, they're selling the pig, the pork meat. So once again, adding some human element into it, you know, because without the guy there, it's just okay, one picture. But with the guy there, it adds something more and gives it more characters. Okay, maybe these are the kind of community that is living there. So for me, it's always very important to have that human element there. And of course, you see this light here falling down here, it makes all the difference, because if it's not there, it, the picture is not so strong. See, once again, Christian house. Look at that lighting that's falling here. You know, the shadows, this kind of shadow, lighting this yellow frame with a yellow light. If it wasn't for the light, then the picture is not there. Interesting house, motorbike element. Going back to the chapel, as you can see, this thing is boarded up. But I'm just trying different things, because you never know what is needed. Because with here, then, as compared to the other picture, you've got context as to the whole street, you know, what else is there. So for the client, they not only get just the picture of the chapel, but they get other things of which they may not, maybe they don't use it now, but this can be used in a later form for other purposes. So that's what I was trying to do. This is the idea was to show the cross section of the Dutch house and the anchoring. This is once again to give context as to where this house is and where the empty lot is, and this is the anchoring of the beams with the steel anchoring, right? And also the Dutch bricks, right? So one of the houses that was interesting, I wasn't sure whether it was needed or not, but I just shot this anyway. The temple that is only open once a year. I actually got a lot of pictures because the lighting wasn't good, so each time I passed it, I kept shooting it. Okay, so this one is along Tengkera Road in the morning. Newspaper seller, shadows, light. But of course, I'm including this again to give a context as to the streets and what is happening and what is around it. Because you've got mainly Chinese and the Muslim community further down Tengkera, and this is the Chinese elements. Using the tire because there's a Kedai motorbike there, right? This one I'm not sure. Is it Mi Hassan? Okay. So this is about 7 a.m. It's already quite crowded. A lot of people there. So once again, this light, this very nice light comes in. And so, okay, you see this is the first picture. So as usual, when you first go there with the camera, they're not going to act normal, right? So he's kind of like, oh, someone's photographing me. So he's like laughing a little bit and not sure, a little bit shy, and you know. So this one, first picture. Then after a while, they forget about you already. So once they forget about you, they go back to their routine, and then you can actually start to capture what actually happens. So in this case, you've got some tauge being thrown down there. He's doing his stuff. Focusing back on his work, like this. Okay, he's not really too concerned about me anymore, so he's like doing his stuff. So that's when the picture actually comes out. So here this is in some ways multi-layered also, with focusing on these things that he uses in the mee goreng, and this light, very nice light coming through, and with some background. See, once again, this is him doing the goreng. Here, preparing the things to throw in, and the clientele, the customer coming. Once again, for me, this is a very nice light. See, illuminating him, although this guy is dark, but illuminating the things that he's using. And here, once again, is the light. For me, the shadow of the lanterns. And then I waited, moved my angle a little bit, and there's some the human element. So always looking out for the human element. This is opposite of what I took earlier. You saw was the evening. This is in the morning. So the morning now, the minaret is lit up. Before, the sun was coming from the behind. Now it's coming from the front. So it's lighting up the minaret. And then I was very happy to find that there's a stall selling things, the breakfast, bihun and kueh. So once again, it's given character to the minaret. And of course, these power lines, power cables, and the modern buildings behind. And then pulling back again, you begin to see that there's another structure up here, human element here, human element there, and a very nice light coming through. So for me, you see, like for picture-wise, there's a triangle, or rather, one point here, one point here, one point here, and another point there. So it makes. So these are things that put things into perspective, and these are things that I look out for as a photographer. Just a closer picture. Okay, so this one is a very, very nice house, illuminated very nicely by this morning light, and next to this abandoned building. So for me, of course, it's very important to put these two together and not just to photograph that house, because now you can see the context of what's happening with the development and non-development that's happening around in Tengkera. And then just to focus in on the house, but still you can see that this house is very well kept. You see this whole fence is all gone, but it is so nicely manicured. The garden tells me that the guy is still got a lot of a spirit, and trying to keep the house going. So this is some more human element. Sorry, but this is it's not me, Hassan. It's another, the guy that is next to. It's also me, Goreng Hassan. What about earlier? Oh, same name. No wonder I got royally confused. Okay. So this guy, he's there sometimes in the morning, and he's doing a very nice performance. Although the music is very loud for morning breakfast scene. Next to the Nikt mausoleum, right? So for me, once again, this human element and the light. So actually, there is a very small window to get this light. So that's why if I start from 7, and by the time it's about 9 something, this kind of light is already gone. So that's the window you have only. Because without this light, really, the thing will look very flat. So I've gone inside the mausoleum and shot from the inside out. Came out, and once again, interesting building, human element. Gone back to the mosque. Because I'm just showing you my selected pictures that I've passed to MIF. So there are some safety shots which I'm not sure whether it's usable or not usable, but I give a wider range. So this is why you see some repetition of the things that I've shot before. So now I come back to the Makam Sultan Hussein, yeah. So if you can remember, the earlier picture was very flat because the light wasn't there. And now you've got the morning light, it's different. See, it's lit up the insides of the Makam. And it's got a little bit of shadow here, and it's lit this up. So once again, I created another layer. I went behind the gate and shot this shot. Once again, this is the same shot as I did 2 days ago, and this is the morning shot. You can see the light is different. See, creating the shadow and illuminated this part, and especially illuminated the insides of the tomb. I know there's a cat here, but I was waiting for it. There's one shot there with a cat. There's that's a very nice shot. So I know the cat is there, but wasn't lucky. I went back twice already. The cat didn't honor me. So coming from this side is lit, showing some context of where the tomb is in relation to the mosque, because otherwise from all the other shots you won't know where it is. So this, okay, then moving on to the Shalaba, Wellesley. The whole area is owned by Wellesley Church, is it? Wesley. Okay, still a little bit of nice light going there. Fantastic trees, the rain trees that they have on the compound. So mainly it's just the structure. So I went in, and I went inside. Okay, this is still a little bit outside the MGS school, right? So I went in. Actually, to shoot inside of buildings and all, you always need permission. But as a photographer, it's very difficult. You need a lot of time to then ask for permission, and sometimes places require you to write a letter and show all kinds of things. So it's very cumbersome, and it's a real drag. So to make things fast, especially you don't have time, you just go in anyway and hope for the best. That's why I get caught so many times. So anyway, here I went into the grounds, went to the back. I shot this, and then shot all these kind of trees, are very nice trees. And then there were some of the students. There were some students behind there. So I think they went and told the principal that there's someone shooting. So once again, principal came out, teacher came out, or made a big scene. Oh, what are you shooting here? What are you doing? Do you have where are you from? Normal. People are always suspicious, but I really don't blame them. Then say, you can't shoot our children. So I'm not shooting your children. Always have to explain my way out. So talk. And then I showed them. I had a flyer, that time the Chetty Talk flyer. Yeah. So I showed them, okay. I invited them to come. So in the end, they're not happy that I took all these shots. But anyway, I just I made my way out. But I'm used to this kind of a thing. So you have to, even here, I'm shooting through the fence, right? Because there's a fence there actually. So I'm just shooting through. Then a teacher from inside came all the way. Oh, what are you doing here? Why are you shooting our children? So cycling out. So these are some of the pictures. Cycling out. Yeah. So this is with a nice sun shining through the rain trees. So this is not a chance thing, because I'm always waiting. So even small little things like this, like, okay, they're playing football, but I can't just take them randomly. Then they could be half like this, they could be half like that. So I had to wait for something, and that is why that brings, maybe people may not notice it. If I don't talk about it, people may not notice it. But these are some of the things that I look out for when I wait for the picture. So moving out, the ACS, all right, coming out. These are like straightforward shots lah. But actually, the shadow on the road helps the pictures. This is a safety shot, just in case you need a very clean building shot. And then moving to that place, I think your house is next door, right? I think I didn't take it because it was very messy and the shadow was there, so I couldn't get something out of it. So I thought, okay, it's Roger's house, better not. It needs a better light than this, so I didn't. So anyway, this is a nice light coming through, through the fence, and that post box also helps give it some character. This one, nice fencing, lighting. I love this steel work here, cast iron work. Just showcasing what's in the community. This is a Thai Buddha altar, right? This is showcasing how close a Chinese altar can be to the mosque, and everything's cool. The community that's living close by. You see, you can compare, if you can remember the shot daytime and then the night shot, and the night one has a lot more character, right? Daytime is kind of flat. See, this is a daytime shot, so not too happy about that. But I think I have another shot later. I went back again. So anyway, this is a very interesting house that Bert was showing me. It's got elements of Thai elements, Sumatra. So you can see there are two pictures I took within a minute, and you can see how different the picture is because clouds are passing. All right, one picture like this. Of course, I'm very fortunate that this guy came along, and another picture like this. It's just within a minute, and look at the light. See, it has nothing here, or it's rather very faint. But you wait again. You wait 1 minute later. Look at that. That shadow thing, that contrast thing comes out. So these are the things that I'm always looking for. Like you're not just arriving at one place and you're just taking the picture. Like things change, environments change, people come along, people don't come along. So that helps. That helps bring your picture out. Kampung Melayu Mosque during the day. See, it's very different from the night. The night, this light gave it that light shining, if you remember from the previous picture. But during the day, it's just like this. This one is the house next to it. During the day, but of course, this kind of shadow helps. Shadow and light helps. These are the structures, interesting structures. The same lady coming back from I was still there. So I'll just move along a little bit faster. Tengkera, I never get the name of this Chinese Taoist temple. Do you know the name of it? Okay, so this is one of the harder things to shoot because it's really, you can't really see anything, but it is the entrance to the moat. It's the entrance to the old moat, right? And it's really hard to get something out because you really only see this drain and of course the bricks here, the bricks on both sides. So I come to the back, still not quite satisfied. So decided to go very close to here, and you can now begin to see the Dutch bricks. So once again, for me, it may not be very significant to you guys, but what's happening here was something that I waited for. So it could be a becha, it could be another rickshaw or something that makes it interesting. But I just got that. Well, sometimes you can wait for minutes and nothing passes, So here, once again, is these kind of elements. Mode. Okay, just moving on a little bit faster. So this is one of the shops there, waiting for things to pass on the road. It's a reflection. This gives you a whole context of Tengkera. I hope to bring out something that is modern because this is a kadai. It's kind of like selling this kind of stuff, but also the praying stuff. And this is happening on the road. Okay, just moving on a little bit faster. This is the example of the Dutch house. So maybe you all have seen it from the outside, you don't know what's inside. And so that pet shop that is nearby, from the inside out, showing some character for Tengkera Road, from the aquarium out, showing the Dutch houses from inside. Actually the... Huh? Meringue Lane, right? Meringue Lane, but I went in there with this kind of overgrown. Maybe he's not so old, right? The Kangaskat, but I just took it anyway, and he was this. I assume he's the son or something because he was in charge. So he was coming out, and they were preparing to go to send these things to a funeral. For me, although this is not relevant, but for me, the picture gives it more depth because they're preparing the car just before taking the things to the funeral site. So, you know, you bring in the picture, he's bringing the bouquet of flowers, and this guy is pouring the engine oil. And for me, it's pictures like that are meaningful. So then I go in, he says, "Yeah, cool, you can come in." So I find that there, and he's a Christian, and get this very interesting picture. Kain casket. Coming outside, these are examples of the Dutch houses. Modern element, modern human element. Again, some human element. This one you'll see later. I've got some night pictures, which is a world of difference of this. So I've got a night picture of this, which makes a world of difference. Okay, this wasn't open that day. Got talking to this lady also. They were previously, forgot it was another business, and now they changed to to the spices, and she was telling me that they can't survive on it anymore, but there's nothing else to do, so might as well just pass their time and continue doing this. If not, they won't know what else to do. This is in Kampong 8, I think. So venturing around there just to get a feel of the community. Actually, a lot of places I go around, there's not much happening. Even in the morning or evening, there's not much people out. It's either the places are abandoned or they're inside the houses. So the community that comes out, but except for the Malay Kampong has a little bit more. Especially this place, they're outside. There's some children around. But otherwise, the places that I went to it's always empty. There's nobody really outside. So that gives a feel of what's happening. So this lady has got very interesting. The road is just here. So she's got a very interesting farm there, and she's so proud about her ducks. And of course, she said no pictures, and she was very shy. And she's sitting with the camera. Of course, I'm gonna say I have to start a conversation with her. It's always like this. Then keeps her occupied, and she's not thinking that I'm taking pictures or what. Then I had to cheat a bit lah. Take Then got her feeding. Look at that, such a emotional embrace of her and the ducks. But for me, it creates a meaning for the community. This is what you have here in the Kampong 8. This guy is, forget his name, but he's taking care of the cemetery. So he cleans the cemetery, he does all the dirty work, and digs the holes and stuff. So I just start talking to him. He lives inside here, just on a mattress on the floor. I found it very interesting with all this just scattered around. I asked him to pose for a portrait. He was nobody talks to him, so he felt very nice that I gave him a little bit of time. And sometimes when I work with people like this, then I give them a little bit of a tip, so they feel that, at least I feel better. So this is the area where the cemetery is behind the kampong, and then once again the cemetery with the condominium that's there, the evening shot, and then I venture out. This is outside already, right? I'm not sure whether this is part of what I needed to shoot, but there was a pasar malam. I just stumbled on the pasar malam, and the raw meats here was very interesting. So I just stuck to it, and these are some Bangladeshi workers coming to buy the raw meat. So once again, this kind of picture, I'm waiting. It's not that you can immediately get this kind of picture. I wait for a little while and wait for the order for the meat, and then when the order comes in and they start slicing it up, that's where you can get this bit of action. If not, then they're just going to be sitting around and you won't get that. So he's coming out, the wallet, coming out money, slicing. For me, that is the weight that makes the picture. So this is the picture I was telling you, showing you, right? The world of difference between the day and the night picture. So this one actually, Bert was asking me to focus on these kind of things. I forget the names at the top. The gables, but these are all similar gables, right? They were based on the four elements, right? Wood, fire, and air, and water. So this one just additional, as you know already. These are some of my trademarks. I'm going for the gable here. This one also just the whole street and maybe a little bit of the gable. Some nice light falling there. Just moving on faster. This is behind the MGS, right? Quite odd to find. Going back to that kampong. Once again, yeah, I came back to this place again. You see, this is the mosque actually. This is the Kampung Melayu mosque. With a different light, is different again. So this is across the road already. This is early in the morning, so I'm wondering. So come in here. Community, what they're preparing the kueh for distribution. So of course, to get all the human element, I had to venture inside. Once again, you ask permission. Oh no, owner is not here. Can you call her first? All kinds of things. And then you have to try and persuade them a little bit. Then luckily, this lady came up and said, okay, you can come in. So I come in, and then you start to get these kind of pictures. Then you can feel how the source of the Nonya Koes, and from here it goes to the hotels or it goes to other shops around Melaka, and it's coming from here. They're doing the packaging in the morning. And to get this kind of shot for me is a good privilege that you can get to the source of it. And then the packaging. So then venturing around the alleys there, and then I stumble on this very iconic trishaws, right? That's all over Melaka. So these are some of the many places that I found that people are repairing and doing all kinds of fix to the either to the decoration or just to the bicycle itself. So these guys suddenly they're just woken up actually. Then he comes out and say, hey, what's going on? So they, oh, hello, tell them I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Then they felt more comfortable. So then I can start shooting a little bit. So then you got some people coming and they're doing up the tires and fixing some small stuff. So that creates some character to the building. To the shots. And this is where some of these trishaws are housed. Once again, interesting light that makes everything possible. There's chickens and reclaimed land, chickens. Pantai 2, light coming through. Just different angles of these shadows creating, going up this place to give a little bit of context to the place where you can see this kind of reclaimed reclaimed land and houses that are torn down with new development encroaching. Not many left actually. It's very hard to find these kind of houses. So these. Going back to the Mi Hasan, this is the Mi Goreng Hasan. But this morning, the guy that sings is not there, but this guy is there. So when you go, Next door to it, obviously, is the the wood carvers. So he's tracing these kind of patterns and telling me he's supplying to different people that require fixing or additions to the. Actually, this is very hard to photograph because I can't get in front of them, and this is going for the once again this kind of element next to a Malay store. Um, what is the kueh called? Kueh badak. This is the kueh badak store, right? Once again, crossing the road, giving it some context, creating a layers. This front layer, and then finally, it wasn't. They're not open every other day. Also, I was quite lucky that this day she was open. The next day, it was closed already, and I could get a little bit of that, the picture of the kueh badak. This is the contrast between the old and the new, and that is why this picture was taken side by side. For me, very powerful because look at that and look at this. Just a different angle, including something in the foreground. This kind of human element, this kind of car, and that modern house with the old house sandwich there. This is I forget the name. Yes, Dato Manila. See how you got all the new housing development that is surrounding it, but with the old one just behind. Yeah, the old kampong house is still there with the new ones facing the other side. Encroachment, the makam here and all the new ones in the front. So going back out to the road, more Dutch houses with some human element, some community on the Tengkera. Just go a bit faster. This is a. Yes, and she is one of the oldest. Besitan, yeah. She was there before the new structure of Medan Selera was built. Okay, Medan Selera, the tree is down, but this is not the tree that it's being referring to. Kapitan Street, Kasang Lane. Yeah, this one also very hard to photograph, very narrow, very tight. Waiting for the light. A little bit of a human element there. But you can see it's very empty. You know, you go there at night, it's empty. In the morning, it's empty. Meaning that I think just a very few older community is living there. Their children are not there anymore. They're in KL or they're overseas, and so the whole place is quite barren actually. So some interesting glimpses of inside. This one very hard to photograph. I wanted to go into the press because apparently this is very old, right? But couldn't get permission. Trying to call the lady, that is so difficult. In the end, it's just a shot from the outside. This lady, 70 over years, her house is there. Just some poses. Once again, this Hindu temple element together with the Chinese flags. This is back to Tengkera, the lady sleeping. This is when she starts to notice I'm there. What is this called again? Taiba. Okay. So, oh yeah, all these pictures now, this is the bicycle that I've been on for the last 5 days. I had to change it after 3 days because The bum was hurting already. Before it wasn't this kind of seat. It was some other seat. And after one day, it was already very painful. But it's more convenient to go around in a bicycle than driving. With the one-way streets and start stop. And get in of the car, out of the car. So that's very energy zapping actually. With the bicycle, much better. So in the end, I think this is the shot for the Taiba that works best for me, with these flowers and him operating the ice machine. Encroachment picture, picture of the house again, the cast iron gate design. This is a more interesting picture, although it's during the day, but for me this works best. Also, aside from the night picture of the mosque, this for me works well because you got this human element there. Of course, this is a very important thing for me, and then shooting through the cast iron gates, giving some extra layer to the picture. Going for the tile of the mosque, some abandoned pictures of going faster and just elements. And then finally, the end of Tengkera Road. I think this is the last bit of the Tengkera. Then it changes, right? This is in front of the. This is actually Kampung 9 already, right? I think this is Kampung 9. This is like somehow behind Kampung 8 or Kampung 9 there. The car was this is having a tomb inside the grounds of the house. And then coming here, once again, tombs in the grounds of the house. This is only the very few places where I found that there were people, children playing outside, because I think the community was a little bit stronger. There were some people left. In the Chinese ones, you won't really find any children playing outside. So this is also a very interesting sepak takraw thing that is no longer existing in many parts of. This is a Chinese influence, isn't it? This. So the ladies going out there, and this interesting light coming through. Very nice light coming through with this well preserved house, and of course including elements of coconut tree and elements of that huge encroachment into the what's left of Kampung 8, Kampung 9. Finishing up. Yeah, of course I found this very attractive because the Indian temple is just to my left. And yeah, once again, this moving human element to frame the old houses. So I'm just going a little bit faster because I went through all this earlier already, talking about including human element into the picture, and also waiting for the light. Going back to the Kasang Lane, right? Is this Kasang Lane? Or maybe not. Just giving it that extra glimpse how different it is from day to night. And the Medan Selera in a different context, giving some what's happening inside, and this guy is extremely shy. So many times he knows I'm there. Several days already he's trying to avoid me, but I didn't want to push it. So once again, elements of the street with the light, the Melaka commercial house. Going back to the Mi Hassan Goreng, some elements of what's inside. It's actually very busy. He's doing such a fantastic business. Yeah, this is the Amma temple, right? This, I think, it's not. So new housing development behind, and this is the only one left in that area. Of course, showing encroachment of new development into Kampong 7. Actually, yeah, this is leading up to Kampong 7 already. Still with the elements of the old and the new coming through. Elements of the old and the new coming through. And this is coming into Kampong 7, derelict playground. The old office area. I'm just going to finish up because these are all very kind of repetitive pictures. Like, yeah, this Taoist temple, which had fantastic lighting and documentation of pictures. So actually, photographing this with this alleyway going through just immediately creates more depth into the picture. Like this, like from inside shooting out and waiting for an element like this. Because just really, for me, makes the picture. So you got elements of the inside and the outside. Oriental cafe that's apparently very old in presence. Another casket house. And finally finishing up with the, once again you can see this like juxtaposition of fashion and fashion. Okay, thank you very much for your kind attention. We've got no more time, we're going to hand this over.
Sure, thanks. Does anybody have a question for Nick?
I like your photography a lot. I like your photography a lot. I mean, it really has a lot of character. So did you enhance it? It's just all raw.
But everywhere on the internet or what, it has to be touched up to a certain extent. Because when you shoot on the camera, and if you shoot raw, it is not brought up. You know, if you shoot it a little bit under, it's always better, because then you process it and you have a lot of range to bring it up. So it is enhanced, but it's not to say that I'm putting in a lot of contrast or putting in a lot of the color. It is just some levelings and because once you get the raw picture correct, then you just push it up a little bit, the contrast comes out already.